Hey, it's Arcsecond. In this video, I'll cover the 7.12 patch notes and how it affects the tier list. Our first champion is Camille, and they're buffing her passive by 4 seconds early, and adding 20% damage to the second hit of Q. So not bad changes for Camille, definitely help out her laning phase. But I'm not sure if these changes will allow her to compete with Fiora, and I think therefore we'll keep her at A right now. Moving on to Corki. Corki comes in and out of the meta pretty quickly. He was S not too long ago, and now we've dropped him down to B tier. But they're buffing his base attack damage and base attack speed, although they're changing the base attack damage to deal more magic damage, and this will make it easier to itemize against him. They're adding preparation, so now you can prep the Phosphorus Bomb and Missile Barrage during the Valkyrie. This is definitely a nice change. But I think these changes are definitely good for Corki, but I don't think these changes will make him overpowered. I think this will actually put him in a balanced state and will move Corki to A tier. Moving on to Ivern, they're nerfing Ivern's E damage by 10 early and 50 at later ranks, but with the Athene's changes that are coming up, this will barely affect Ivern, and this won't affect his clear at all or his utility, and I don't think this really changes Ivern at all. He'll still be extremely powerful. Ivern will definitely be in a good spot after this nerf. For Jax, they're buffing his W's, so now it gains a 50 extra range. Not a bad change for him. Don't think it will affect his position in the meta too much, but not bad. Jhin, the ADC meta is definitely loaded right now, but they're only giving him a slight change. They're changing his base attack damage. It's down slightly, but the ratio is up by 0.1, and the current call now has a higher base damage. Only slight changes. I don't think this will allow him to compete with the top tier ADCs right now. Now we have Karma, great support, and she will also be affected with the Athene's changes, but they're changing her shield base by 20 at later ranks, but it's still 70 early and only 5 at level 2 or 5 less. So only a slight change, and then Mantra E received a small nerf for the secondary targets. I don't think this will change Karma too much either. Definitely still a top tier support if it's the meta well, the support items, although a lot of them are being changed, but I think she'll still be able to itemize well. For Kindred, last time we overestimated how good the changes were for Kindred, so now they're adding some extra buffs. Base attack damage is up by 3, dash speed for Wolf is up, and he has lower mana. These changes are still pretty small, and I think we're still going to play pretty conservative this time and keep Kindred at A right now. So for Malzahar was changed, so now he does better with AP heavier builds. It was doing well in mid lane, although I wasn't seeing this pick very often. I thought it looked and felt pretty good and fits the mid lane meta well. But they're already starting to nerf. Yeah, they're already throwing nerfs at Malzahar, nerfing the base damage of Q by 20 at max rank, base damage of ult by 50, and this is the one that had the really high AP ratio, and now it's only down by 0.05. So I think Malzahar will still have great damage. This one effect is push really. Still have the early push in lane. I think Malzahar will still be in a decent spot. There's a chance he was S tier for a small window, but now we're going to definitely keep him at A right now. So Rakan is starting to see more play. Players are starting to familiarize themselves with the champion and teammates as well. I think Rakan's starting to do better, and there's some bug fixes coming his way. So Rakan could start making his way up to S tier, but I think some of the numbers are still a little too low, and we'll keep him at A for now, but we'll keep our eye on Rakan. Now for Rek'Sai, another champion who received some changes last patch, but weren't quite enough, but now they're buffing the base attack damage, base armor growth stat, and they're doubling the bonus attack damage on W. This base attack damage won't affect this right away, but still a really nice buff here. And this was a big problem with the Void Rush. It was really easy to dodge, so now it's going to be more consistent. And I already thought this would make a huge difference, just this change for Rek'Sai. And now, alongside these changes, I think Rek'Sai could really do well in the meta right now, and this might push her into S tier. I'm excited to play her next patch, or in this patch. For Rumble, we've seen it. Rumble is definitely strong. We've seen slightly less Rumble because of the lack of AD mid laners right now, but they're changing Rumble's passive, so now the heat drain's a little slower. Not a bad change, or just a slight change. The damage was changed, so now it pushes slower, has a longer cooldown, but deals more damage, and has a better AP ratio. And I think this will just be a slight change to how you play Rumble and play against it, but I think it'll still be a strong ability and still make Rumble a strong champion. Also changed W, so also changing the windows in which you fight with and against Rumble. The duration changed from 2 seconds to 1.5, but the base shield was increased. And then E was just buffed, base damage is up, and the slow's up. So overall, I think these changes keep Rumble in a similar spot. I'll have to change your playstyle slightly with him and against, but I think he's still one of the best AP top laners. Now for Xayah. Xayah is one of the best ADCs right now. They're changing or like fixing her Q, so she won't be able to basically attack during her Q, which is a slight nerf. Don't make it. And then they're changing the W. The cooldown's going up by 4 seconds. I think Xayah will still be extremely powerful. The way she interacts with all the champions and the aggressive, with how her ult interacts with a lot of the abilities in the game right now, I think it's really powerful. And I think she'll still be top tier. Zac, another strong champion right now. They're changing his base damage. They're nerfing his damage on W and E. And this will definitely hurt his clear, but with Zac, how they change his Q, he has so much utility now. I think Zac will still be extremely strong. But definitely nerfing the W damage will make his first clear and early ganks slightly weaker, but I think he'll still scale extremely well and still be a powerful champion. Now moving on to the support items. We're changing Locket, so it's better for tankier supports and nerfing the base shield, but it has a percentage of the caster's bonus health. So it'll be slightly better on some supports, not a bad change. Now they're changing Redemption. They're nerfing the health regen, upping the mana regen, and changing the heal. So now it'll do 3 times as much healing by amplifiers. But overall, I think the heal will still be less in most cases. And yeah, with some of how the stats were changed, definitely a decent nerf to Redemption. I think this item will be built less and prioritized, or won't be prioritized as much. So they changed Zeke's, so now it's Zeke's Convergence. And they changed the build path and the stats, so no longer grants AP, but it has double armor and at 30 MR. I think these stats are definitely better for the support role. But they changed the unique passive. We'll have to see how good this is when you cast your ultimate, and now adds some on-hit damage and a Frost Storm. We'll have to see how strong this actually feels in game, but I think the stats are better, so I think this item definitely has some potential. We'll see how it plays out. So they're changing Athene's. It has less base AP, more mana regen, less CDR, and the blood earn rate is up. But they changed it now has dissonance, so you can gain extra AP based on base mana regen. Base mana regen is up, and supports generally find themselves building a lot of base mana regen, and it's really easy for supports to build CDR. So I don't think this change is too important. So I think Athenians is probably in a pretty good spot right now, and will definitely probably be a first buy for a lot of the support champions, and definitely be good on Ivern. Banner of Command was changed, so now it has health regen, no longer has mana, but now has a point runner, so you can gain movement speed when you're near turrets. I think this item is still too situational, and an item like this will be hard to build in most comps, and against most comps. And also it's still situational even with the right comp, and I don't think it'll be built that often. Night's Vow, slight change, now has the cooldown reduction, but not the health regeneration. Righteous Glory, I think this item looks really strong with how they changed it. Less health, 30 armor, and 10% CDR, and you don't have the Catalyst passive. And the slow procs automatically now. I think these changes are really nice. I think the base stats are better, the active is probably easier to use, be more consistent, hopefully. And I think this could be really good on some supports, possibly, like champions like Olaf has built a decent amount on Singe. So I think this item could be pretty strong with just with the stats it has now. Change the build pass. yeah, more build path changes. They changed Talisman, so now it's a cheaper item, so a decent buff for Talisman. Still probably won't be built as often. The other support builds are pretty strong. And they're changing the Doran's item, so it's become pretty common that some of the tanks top will stack Doran's rings. So they're nerfing the unique passive, so now they'll be more incentivized to build a mana item, or they might have to switch to Seal. And Seal is a great item, and I think so it won't affect. I don't think this change affects mid lane too much. I think one Doran Seal or one Doran's Corrupting Potion, something like that. And they're also changing Doran Shield. Doran Shield became really strong. They're changing it so now it's more expensive, so you can only have one health potion, which is a pretty big deal. I think it will be built a lot less, especially on 80 carries. I think some 80 carries will still build it. I think it'd still be good on them. But yeah, we'll see less Doran Shield and less Doran's ring stacking. It's not bad changes. And then we have the upcoming Riven and UCO skins, which are really cool. I think that just about covers 7.12 patch. Please let me know if this was helpful, and thank you so much for watching.